Welcome to Hoop Talk Fanatics, episode number 22. I am here with Will from Rockets Twitter, um, and I'm excited to have you on to have a conversation about uh, variety of topics and everything around basketball in the NBA that's happening. And welcome, and I'm excited to talk to you.
Yeah, man, thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk basketball with you too.
So my first question was, what what are your initial thoughts on the Rockets this past season?
My initial thoughts. So we landed the number 2 pick. We have Jalen Green. We traded up to pick 16, got Alperen Şengün, Josh Christopher and Usman Garuba were picked 23 and 24 after that. We already had KPJ we got from Cleveland last year. KJ Martin was, I believe, a bot second. I think it was like pick 52 last year. Jayshawn Tate, and then Christian was the controversial topic. But I think we had a really nice young core that we kind of brought in over the last season. And the expectations weren't for us to be a good team. I think we probably exceeded as much as we were supposed to succeed this year with 20 wins. I didn't really see us winning too much more than that. But I mean, like the important part for us this year was that the guys from game 1 to game 82 progressed and were a lot better. And I think we accomplished that. I think that you look at specifically like Jalen Green, the franchise cornerstone, where he was at game 1, he settled for jumpers too much. He wasn't that physical around the rim. He wasn't the world's best defender. And he's still not the world's best defender now, but you see now he's taking a bit more pride in that area. He's not cheating as much defensively. He looks a lot better. He's finishing a lot better through contact. He's finding ways to impact the game without having to shoot from beyond the arc. He can, he's taking mid ranges now. He's, like I said, finishing around the rim. His shots looking great. He's 100% a much better player from the start of the season to where he is right now. And like I think that's kind of that sentiment's kind of been echoed for everybody else. I listed that young core. They all improved a lot from where they were at the start of the season to where they are right now. And I think like we put ourselves in a position to where we developed our young players, and we're gonna bring in another young talent in the draft this year. And so I mean I have no complaints as far as how last season went for us.
Do you see any trades happening throughout the summer around the draft?
Yeah, so I think they're going to explore. We have top 5 pick this year, with our own pick, and then we have the Brooklyn Nets pick, which I believe is at pick 17 right now. And so I would anticipate they're probably going to try to look to move up from pick 17 somewhere along the way. But even if they don't do that, I'm I'd be pretty disappointed as a Rockets fan if Eric Gordon did not get traded this offseason. So I think that's one guy who we can say, well, yeah, he's probably not going to be on this roster next year. I think he's going to be gone, hopefully to a contender in exchange for maybe like some draft capital or a young talent. But yeah, Eric Gordon for sure. Um, I think Christian Wood will get looked at. I don't think it's going to get traded. If I was a betting man, I would bet that he's not going to get traded. And then David Nwaba is like the last vet on this team. I believe it's under contract. If I'm not forgetting anybody, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's the last vet under contract. And I mean, I wouldn't be against him returning, but I think I'd rather just go ahead and clean slate there, have that roster spot available for somebody else who probably could play for us. I don't think David Nwaba is really going to be playing for us anymore. So, but I don't anticipate them as far as like the trades. I anticipate most trades would be for draft capital. I don't anticipate us making any trades to like improve the roster or like bring in anybody. I think we're going to try to rock out with the young guys like we kind of did this year. So I don't really see us doing too much crazy.
What do you think about this upcoming NBA draft and like how the Rockets will make the type of pick that you think they will make?
So I think there's a lot of talent in this draft. I mean this is going to sound controversial, but I think it's one of the weaker drafts compared to previous years. But I think it's still going to be a really good draft. You have Chet Holmgren at the top of the draft. I think he's more or less everybody's number 1 pick right now. Um, talk about a guy who might be able to like change the game one day. 7
Mhm.
feet tall, impacted the way he does defensively, but then he also has a bag offensively himself, and he's gonna only get better in that department. So I think he's gonna be a really good player one day, and I'm super duper high on Paulo Banchero. He's my choice pick for the Rockets. If I had to pick anybody of the out of the in this draft, I would pick Paulo Banchero. I think a guy at his size,
Mhm.
6'10", 250, can score at all three levels, has, the good footwork, the post moves. But then the thing that I really value about Banchero, I value, being able to get your own bucket, which I think he can do. But then I also really value being able to set other guys up to get buckets, right? And I think Banchero is easily the best playmaker in that top five slot. And he might, he's not the best in the draft, but he's for sure the best non-point guard playmaker, right? Like if you exclude all the point guards, he's for sure the best playmaker there. So I really value that. I think that's going to really translate over to the NBA, and I think it's going to help him, become superstar, borderline superstar caliber player. Jabari, he's I think if you were to ask a lot of Rockets fans who they want, they'd probably tell you Jabari.
Mhm.
Mainly because he's more of a plug and play kind of guy. You can just plug him in with what we're running right now. You don't have to change nothing up, and he fits in like a glove. I mean, you talk about a guy who shot over 40% from three on good volume in college. He's 6'10" as well, good size, good athleticism. So he's the best defender in the draft. I'm gonna say he's the best defender in the draft. Real versatile, real switchable. And so I think a lot of Rockets fans are gonna like Jabari there, because you can slot him at that 3 or that 4 spot. Doesn't change too much up with the roster. And he's a guy who can make an impact day one, worst case scenario. So I think that's a top. Those are the guys I would be perfectly fine with any of those 3 guys. But like I said, I think the draft, even though I don't think it's as talented or as deep as previous drafts, or like even just compared to last year, I think last year's draft was incredibly deep and incredibly talented.
Mhm.
But like even if we just forego all that, I still think it's gonna be a really good draft, and I'm really excited for it.
So moving a little off topic,
Yeah.
I wanted to get your thoughts on the upcoming Miami Heat 76ers series. Uh, I'm a big Sixers fan, so
Okay.
so I really wanted to cover this during the episode, and it's going to be a dogfight for sure.
Yeah. I think so. If you would have asked me this question when the playoffs first started, I would have told you I think y'all would have won. And
Mhm.
I still think you guys Sixers have a really good chance to win this series, right? I don't think it's going to be easy, but Miami really impressed me with what they did to Atlanta, especially with Trae Young. That really,
Mhm.
I knew they were a good defensive team, but the way they had 1 through 15, everybody up, next man mentality. Jimmy Butler didn't play that last game. Kyle Lowry was in and out, and they still completely dominated. So I think if they're healthy, they're going to have a really, really good run in the postseason this year. And then Embiid, he looked really good yesterday, like really, really good yesterday when they closed out the Raptors. But and Harden looked really good himself. But Harden's been kind of up and down this postseason, and Embiid was kind of nursing a thumb injury.
Mhm.
And so I think if Embiid is not able to, if that thumb injury really, really hurts him and he's not able to produce at the level that we know he all can, I think he's the MVP this year. So I think if he's not able to produce at that level because of that injury, and James Harden can't play, like if he plays the way he did yesterday, consistent, oh
Mhm.
yeah, y'all are good, y'all are gonna win. But if he kind of goes back and forth, some nights he plays really well, and then there's nights where I think he was averaging before yesterday, I want to say it was below 40% from the field for that series. And my opinion, that's not going to get the job done against a very
Mhm.
good defensive Heat team. But like I said, if he plays the way that he played yesterday, Tyrese Maxey's been a dog. He's been really good. If he continues to play like that, and if Embiid's injury doesn't slow him down, I think you guys have a really good chance to beat the Heat. But like I said, I think it's gonna be a really entertaining series, and I don't think it's gonna
Mhm.
be easy, because I think Miami, like I said, if they're healthy, they match up really well. And they have a lot of guys who can go out there and give Harden and Maxey and Embiid fits on defense. So that's how I feel about that.
What do you think about Matisse Thybulle going against the Heat?
Yeah, so I think he probably would guard Jimmy though, right? Like that's what they probably stick on Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Thybulle since he was drafted. I thought he was
Mhm.
He made an impact day one with his defense and just just being a guy who I see a winner with Thibault, right? I see a guy who's going to do what it takes to win basketball games. And so I don't know if he's going to be the difference maker per se, because I don't think defense is what's going to cost you guys the series. I think Miami is they're not the world's most most explosive offense team. That's one of the reasons why I initially had, like before the playoffs where I picked them to lose in the second round,
Mhm.
right? But I think I was, like I said, their defense really shocked me against the Hawks. Like I knew they were good defensively, but I didn't know they were going to hold Trae Young to like 18% from three, and I think it was like 30% from the field. Like I did not know they were going to be that good. So, but yeah, I mean, I think he's going to do his job. He's going to be out. He's going to go out there and he's going to lock up the opposing best perimeter player, which I think at this point will be Jimmy. Um, and I think he's going to do as good of a job as anybody can on a guy like that.
I I really like the addition of Niang for the Sixers.
Yeah,
He's been on a roll, and I'm surprised of like how of a great turnaround Denny Green had as a
yeah,
performance, because yesterday he was really nailing down shots as well as Tobias Harris. Um, they both are a big impact to this Sixers team for sure, as well as Tyrese Maxey and Harden and Embiid. But just I'm just putting it out there that like Niang is like a really good solid shooter that Doc Rivers definitely got that position right with sitting Korkmaz, and I think Niang is a little better as a shooter perspective than Korkmaz is, and it's definitely going to speak volume on later in the playoffs.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Like you said, Danny Green. I think he's a guy who gets a lot of bad rep around NBA fans because of his time with the Lakers.
Mhm.
But I mean, I think he's probably the perfect role player for the most part. A guy who, he's not as good defensively as he was back when he was in San Antonio, but he's still a really good defender, and he can shoot the ball, and like he does it on a good contract, and he takes pride in that role. So I think he's the type of guy who, um, all 30 NBA teams would love to have him on their roster.
What's your series prediction?
Okay, so let me ask you: Is what version of James Harden am I getting? Am I getting um yesterday, or am I getting the so James Harden? Which version am I getting?
It might be off and on.
Okay, so
uh,
if it's off and on, if we're talking, yeah, off and on James Harden, and then
yeah,
is Embiid going to be fine, or is his thumb going to be kind of laboring? Because
yeah,
he's going to be good.
yeah. He's been playing through it. Yeah,
Yeah. I know he's been playing through, but I know like because it was what game? So y'all just went to six. So was it game five where you could kind of tell like it was kind of bothering him? Was that game, or am I getting it wrong?
I mean, it looks like it's getting like the feel of the basketball is getting a little better
Yeah,
as the playoffs progress because yesterday he was nailing down
yeah.
shots.
Yesterday he was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think he's going to be completely
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
It's just a matter of like if the Heat double team him and his finger gets caught, and
Yeah.
it just got to make sure that like he's going to be okay with that. And I think if I were Doc Rivers, I would play him as much as possible throughout the series because they're going to need him no matter what.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially against Miami. Miami is a difficult team to win against, and I do think that if Embiid averages at least 18 points a game, they're going to be on another level and really hard to beat.
Yeah. So I agree. So if Embiid is playing at the level that we all know he can play at,
Mhm.
but if James Harden is on and off, I'm gonna need to see it. But I would pick Miami if James Harden is inconsistent. I would need to see how y'all match up with them, and how y'all play. But if James Harden is on and he's not inconsistent, he's playing like I said, way he played yesterday, or playing it the way we all know James Harden can play, I have y'all winning. I have y'all winning that series in 6 or 7, if James Harden is playing at the level that we all know he can play at. If he doesn't, and he's playing at that kind of in between on and off kind of level, I'm probably gonna pick Miami in that scenario. I think James Harden is super duper important to your
Yeah.
guys' title chances. And as your second best player. And I think if your second best player is struggling to the level he kind of struggled at those first like 4 or 5 games against against Toronto, it's gonna be really, really tough to beat a good experienced team like Miami. But if he's there, yeah, I think you'll have a really good chance of winning it.
Yeah, I think it's going to start with game 1 and game 2. And if they get out to like a 2-1 lead, let's say, then I think they can have a really good chance of winning the series.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So my next question is, what are your thoughts on the Celtics series with the Bucks?
That's going to be a really good series. That's going to be extreme. So I have Milwaukee winning the whole thing this year, so I'm going to stand fast on that. That they're going to win this series and they're going to beat whoever comes out of Miami and Philly. And then I think I have the Warriors coming out the West. I think they beat the Warriors, right? So, but similar to Miami though, I knew Boston was their defense is one of the reasons that kind of helped them turn their season around when they were struggling this year. But man, they played like same with Miami. They played great team defense 1 through 15 against the Nets in round 1, right? And I think one thing that separates them from Miami is that I think their offense is a lot. I think Miami's defense, I don't know, maybe might be better, maybe might be the same, but Boston's offense is way better in my opinion. You have Jason Tatum, I think, is solidifying himself as a top 10 player in the NBA this postseason. Jaylen Brown, top 15, top 20. He's in that conversation as well. He's a really good player. These are both guys who are really good two-way players. They can go out there and use their size athleticism to guard up your best perimeter player, but then they can also go out there and drop 30 on you. And so I think their offense is really good. I think Marcus Smart has been really good. And the thing about them is they have a bunch of guys who have size and athleticism to guard the wings. So it's a wing oriented league, right? And so I think they have, like Grant Williams is a guy who's kind of really underrated, but he had KD in a straitjacket. In the moments where he was matched up with him against the Nets. And so I don't know how they're going to guard Giannis. I think guarding Giannis and guarding KD are two different things. It takes two different type of defenders to guard guys like that. Whereas KD's a little bit more perimeter oriented. He's going to break you down with his handle, pull up in the mid range. Giannis is just physically imposing, right? He's going to find a way to force himself into the lane, get to the basket, and just finish the contact, right? So I think it's gonna be a little bit hard. I expect they're probably going to put Robert Williams on him. I think it's probably going to have guarding Giannis. And I think he's going to do a solid job on him, but I think Giannis is the best player in the NBA right now. And it pains me to say that as a Rockets fan, but yeah, I think he's the best. So I don't know, man. It's gonna. I think that one goes no less than 6 go. I think they for sure goes to no less than 6, probably 7. But I think it's gonna be a really good. Oh, and then I guess it also depends on, is Chris Middleton going to be there, right? Like I think if he's in and out the rotation. Boston could definitely capitalize on that, but I think if Milwaukee's healthy, I still have them winning and going to the finals.
So my other question is, what are your thoughts on the Dallas Mavericks series against the Suns?
The Suns win. I think the Suns get them in like 5 or 6. Like I don't know. I think the Suns are they're probably the third best team. Yeah, they're the third best team in basketball in my opinion right now. And I think Luka is going to do a really good job. I think Dinwiddie and Brunson really stepped up, and in those moments where Luka was out, and they've been really good this postseason. So I don't think it's going to be a clean sweep where it's going to be easy. But I think Phoenix wants, like saying, I value experience and just been there, done that. Phoenix is went to the finals last year. They were consistent all year. This year, Chris Paul looked possessed yesterday. He did not want to lose that game at all. Devin Booker, he's gonna be kind of working himself back into form. They have the right type of guys to between Bridges and Jay Crowder to throw at Luka, give him fits. Offensively. Yeah, man. I said I think Phoenix wins that series. Like I said, maybe not easily, but I think it's gonna be pretty easy for them to win that series.
I kind of have like a slight feeling in my body that Dallas can give them trouble because of the way New Orleans played them, and I feel like Dallas could have that potential in what New Orleans had in the series before. And I feel like that even if Dallas doesn't win the series, I definitely feel they can win at least 3 games against
I see that.
Phoenix.
I
Yeah.
see that.
So my question is, if Phoenix wins, uh, what what do you think they will? What do you think will happen to them, like in the future past that round?
So like I said, I think I don't the winner of Minnesota and Memphis plays the Warriors. I think the Warriors get either of those guys out in 5. Like I think that's even gonna be even less of a challenge. I think those two teams aren't experienced enough. I don't know if they match up the best with with what the Warriors are doing right now. So I think the Warriors get those guys out of there in 5, 4 or 5. And then I think, bro, I think the series everybody's gonna really be looking forward to is Phoenix versus Golden State. I think that series goes to 6 or 7. But I think the Warriors are just too talented this year. They have Steph, who's looking possessed right now, Jordan Poole, you know, guy who can give you 25, 30 a night, starting or
Mhm.
coming off the bench. Klay Thompson is looking like his old former two-way self. Draymond Green is still playing really well. They're well coached. I think it's gonna be really, really tough for any team to beat them this year. So I think Golden State stops Phoenix in the Western Conference Finals.
What do you think? Who will win the MVP, in your
So,
opinion?
so I think it should be Embiid. I hope they don't snub him this year. I hope they don't take give it. I mean I think Jokic is very deserving and he had an amazing year, but I think you have to give it to Embiid.
Mhm.
Which is how he was able um to position the Sixers this year in the regular season. Even without James Harden, when it was I still had Ben Simmons and he wasn't playing. I think Embiid had the best year this year. And I like him. I like him a little bit better than Jokic as far as talent goes. So yeah, I think Embiid should get the MVP.
Uh, what are your thoughts on the Toronto Raptors uh, coming off devastating series loss against Philadelphia and moving forward into the draft? And what do you think will happen with their team come next year?
So I need to look at like their draft picks and their cap space. I don't know if they had that. I don't think they had that much cap space, but and I don't know what pick they're looking at this year. But I really like what they're building over there. Right, they have Scotty Barnes, who um, I think is going to be a really good talent. Two-way talent. One day he's shown flashes of being able to score like up the opposing's best player. And like I said, one thing I really like about those type of guys is he was playing point guard at different points in time this season. So like I really think at that size, athleticism on the wing spot, like I think he's gonna be really good. I really like OG Anunoby. He's the type of guy he's another guy who I think all 30 teams in the NBA would love to have OG Anunoby on their team. Two-way player, knock down threes, larger posting's best perimeter player. He's a spot on every team in the NBA. I'm not the biggest fan of Siakam playing the center position for them moving forward. I think you kind of have to do that when you have OG and Scotty. But I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. I really like Fred VanVleet. I think maybe this year's a little bit different if he was able to play. Um, they're really well coached. Gary Trent Jr. is another guy I was forgetting. He's another great player. They're really well coached. They have a culture over there. Um, it's a bunch of winners, a bunch of guys who like to play together and win basketball games. And so I think their future is bright. I don't know what their ceiling is. I don't know if they're. I wanted to see more from Scotty before I say uh, they are like I can see them winning a championship in the next 5 years. Like I think they're going to be a great playoff team. It's going to make waves, but I don't know if I see them going all the way unless Scotty or I guess it could be Scotty. It could be anybody on the team unless anybody takes like a huge leap until like top 15, top that kind of elite area play. Just because I think Siakam's close there. I think Fred VanVleet is close, but I don't see either of those guys being the best player on a team that wins the chip. And so, like I said, I think if Scotty or anybody else can take that leap to be a guy who could be the best part of the championship winning team, oh yeah, bro, they're already deep. They're already well coached. They're already, they've been there. They've done that before. They're going to be like I said, all they're missing is, I reckon, if Kawhi Leonard was still on that roster, they would be my favorites right now. A healthy Kawhi Leonard was still on that roster, man, they'd be tough.
So my last question is, what is your NBA Finals prediction?
So like I said, I have Golden State and Milwaukee, and I have Milwaukee winning in 6 or 7 in Milwaukee, just because I think Steph, I think they match it pretty well, that they have the guys who can go out there and give Steph, and Jordan Poole kind of fits between Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Grayson Allen's going to be a pest. Wesley Matthews is going to be a pest. Like, they have, the solid perimeter defenders who can guard, Steph Curry. Obviously, no one can guard them, but you can give them a fit, right? And then I think Draymond Green is going to try his best to guard Giannis, but I don't think there's an answer for Giannis in the NBA right now. I don't think you can stop that guy from doing the things that he wants to do in the court. I think the only person who can stop him is himself. So, yeah, like I said, if Milwaukee's healthy, I know Chris Middleton's kind of hurt right now, but if they're healthy and they're on that same pace like they've been all season long, I think they go back to back this year, just simply because I don't see anybody stopping Giannis this year. I think he's on a different level than everybody else in the NBA right now. And I think, like I said, I think Golden State has a good chance with Draymond Green and the team defense they play over there. But I don't think that's going to be enough to stop Giannis.
Before the playoffs started, I had Phoenix against the Bucks, and
I see that happening.
And it's between, as of now, it's between that and Golden State and the Bucks. So it's gonna be very interesting to see what the outcome brings. And thank you so much for the time.
Thank you for having me.
And you're definitely welcome back on anytime.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is fun. Thank you for having me.
Same. Good luck next year with the Rockets, and thanks again.
For sure.